The Fresno State Bulldogs were your Mountain West champions in 2022, but I think it's going to be really difficult to repeat it for Jeff Tedford's group in 2023. There is a lot of production that's going to be gone off this offense, and even some really good pieces defensively that are going to be leaving this team as well. However, if you prove you can do it once, why not go ahead and do it again? It's a Fresno State team that still, I think, has what it takes to win the Mountain West in 2023. So are the Bulldogs going to be Mountain West champions for the second straight year? Or with all they lost, with all the dynamic ability that they lost on offense, is this team going to start to fall down the ranks of the Mountain West Conference? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. I'm previewing and predicting all 133 FBS level college football teams this summer. Guys, it means I'm doing your favorite team. So hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded. But there are more ways than that for you guys to help me support my channel. Hey, you guys are doing one right now by watching the video, which I already greatly appreciate. If you're willing and able to do more, you can like, comment, share, and anything else you guys can think of. The support on the channel has been great this summer. Thank you guys so much. Hey, we're starting Mountain West predictions today. Just did Boise State earlier today. Fresno State is up here next. The team that beat Boise State in the Mountain West Conference Championship game last season. Hey, how do we do things around here? We're going to go through a roster overview and look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting class, as well as taking a look at the 2023 Fresno State football schedule, and we'll give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Fresno State Bulldogs in 2023. Again, this is the team that lost a ton on the offensive end, and it starts with the quarterback position as Jake Haener is gone. 2,896 yards, 20 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions last season. He was a phenomenal talent for this Fresno State team throughout his entire Fresno State career, and I believe is off to the NFL. That is a huge loss at the quarterback position, but you are going to try to make up for it with Logan Fife, who had 892 yards, but only 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions last year. Did complete 70% of his passes. By the way, Jake Haener completed 72% of his passes last year. Again, not easy shoes to fill at all. Logan Fife can try, but you also are bringing in a transfer over from UCF in Mikey Keene, and he definitely could be the solution here at the quarterback position. Do I think he'll be as good as Jake Haener? No, I think those are really hard shoes to fill, but Mikey Keene, I think, can still be a very solid option, and he is my choice. If the choice were up to me, I would go with Mikey Keene at the quarterback position for Fresno State this season. Proved he can do it at UCF. Why not come over to Fresno State and be able to do it as well? But, hey, you did lose almost a 3,000-yard passer. Definitely has 3,000-yard passer abilities, and with some more throws, maybe could have done it. But you also do lose a 1,300-yard rusher from last season, and that is Jordan Mims. 1,370 yards and 18 touchdowns last season. So who's going to be leading the rushing attack this year? Well, Malik Sherrod, who was the team's second leading rusher last year. 428 yards and 2 touchdowns. Your third leading rusher was Elijah Gilliam. He also comes back, so that'll be your 1-2 punch at the running back position for Fresno State. Now in the wide receiver room, man, you do lose a lot of key pieces here as well. Jalen Moreno Cropper, or as many people like to call him, just Jalen Cropper, 1,093 yards. So, hey, you lose a 1,000-yard receiver as well. Only 5 touchdowns, but did have 84 catches. Well, your second leading receiver, Nico Remigio, is also gone, 852 yards. Led the team with 6 touchdowns, had 74 catches. Zane Pope was your third leading receiver. He's also gone, 623 yards and 4 touchdowns for him. Josh Kelly also leaves. You lose a ton of talent out of this wide receiver room. However, your fourth leading receiver does come back. That was Eric Brooks. But beyond him, there's really a lot of mystery in the wide receiver room entering at 2023. Mac Delana returns to this team, but you're also going to be relying on a lot of transfers to get into this program. Now, they are very talented transfers as that, and most notably is Jalen Gill, a very highly rated 4-star coming over from Boston College. He was almost a 5-star coming out of high school. He'll be really instrumental to what this team does in the passing attack, but you're also bringing guys like Tim Greer and Artis Cole, who I both believe are JUCO community college transfers, and then Mikel Barkley is a transfer coming over from Toledo, and who knows what kind of role he'll be playing on this team. And then in the tight end room as well, your leading tight end is also gone. Raymond Powells is gone, but Trey Watson, Jake Bouster back, and then on the offensive line, Dante Bulla Schmidt, are gone, but you do return Mose Vavau, Braylon Nelson, and Jacob Isaiah coming back to this team as well. It's an offense that lost a ton of production. We'll see what it's made of in 2023. And then on the defensive side, you lose a lot in the defensive front and back four, but we're going to start out with the defensive line as usual. David Perales, who had 11 and a half sacks last year, 47 tackles. He is gone from this team. Matt Lawson, DeMarcus Johnson, and Leonard Payne are some other very, very good, very talented players that will be leaving this defensive line. But again, David Perales is the big name there. You do return, though, your sixth leading tackler from last year. Perales was the fifth leading tackler. Don't know if I mentioned that, but your sixth leading tackler right behind Perales, my apologies, was Devo Bridges. Had 2 sacks, 43 tackles last year. And you're also going to be returning guys like Johnny Hudson, Isaiah Johnson, and Gabriel Lightfoot as well. I believe that's supposed to be Gabriel. I believe that's supposed to be Gabriel Lightfoot, but he is coming back to this team as well. Now, let's look at the linebacking room. Really, your only loss here is Andres Fox. Only 12 tackles in the sack from last season, but you do get a lot of returning talent in this linebacker room. Your top 2 leading tacklers from last year, Malachi Langley and Lavelle Bailey. Flip that order, actually. Bailey was your leading tackler with 86 tackles. Langley had 67 tackles. So both of those guys are going to be coming back. Langley also had 2 interceptions for the team last year. And then Phoenix Jackson is going to be another returning piece to this linebacker room. So it's a linebacking unit that is going to be really good for Fresno State here in 2023. But in the defensive back room, you lose a lot of talent out of here. Evan Williams is gone. He was your third leading tackler on the team. Cale Sanders, LJ Early, Braylon Lux, Elijah Gates, all of which very, very talented players. LJ Early led the team with 10 passes defended, had 2 interceptions on the season last year. But hey, let's look at who comes back, right? Maurice Norris and Cam Lockridge are coming back. Norris, your 4th leading tackler from last year, and Lockridge led the team with 5 interceptions last season. You're also going to return guys like Carlton Johnson and Krishan Gordon, as well as get some transfers over, most notably in Dean Clark. Your head coach is Jeff Tedford, offensive coordinator Pat McCann, defensive coordinator Kevin Coyle, as we take a look at the Fresno State schedule for 2023. Any game at home will be underlined, while any game on the road is in italics, or again, that slanted text. Any game you see in green is a game that I think Fresno State's going to be able to win easily. Any game in yellow is a back and forth 50-50 type game, but the Bulldogs will still be able to win. And then any game in red is, of course, a loss. So without further ado, let's predict Fresno State here in 2023. You got to go on the road to play Purdue your first game, and I do think you end up dropping this game. Both Power 5 games that Fresno State play, I'll say this right now, are very, very winnable games, but I'm going to give some reasons for the latter opinion there as well. When you take a look at the Purdue Boilermakers, that's a team that is going to bring Hudson Card in at the quarterback position, and I do think that Purdue has some really solid talent. Yes, they lost a ton of talent from last season. Aiden O'Connell, Charlie, I'm forgetting his last name, the really good wide receiver over there at Purdue. I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about. The name is just escaping my mind right now. But Purdue has some really good weapons. Hudson Card's a good quarterback. Got some good pieces on defense as well. I think Ryan Walter's group will be competitive. Will pull out a win against the Fresno State Bulldogs. But the Bulldogs will not have to wait for their first win for too much longer. An FCS program in Eastern Washington, I believe, will be the first victim to the Fresno State Bulldogs. And if you thought Purdue was a winnable game, I think this is a very winnable game here with Arizona State. Kenny Dillingham is coming in to be the head coach, former offensive coordinator with Oregon, and he brings in a lot of talented transfers, but I do think it's going to take a year for Arizona State, for this system to really start to settle in. Yes, a lot of very good transfers are in. Drew Pine is in at the quarterback position. There are some very, very good players for Arizona State. However, and again, this Fresno State team going to be a team that I think is well equipped to beat what they have here at Arizona State. However, I think the Sun Devils are going to be able to come out on top. Call it an upset, call it whatever you will. Again, I think it'll take some time for that system with Arizona State to really set in, but I do think that Fresno State, with all they lost on offense, might need some time to be able to get that going. I think Arizona State takes advantage of that, and they'll be able to win against the Fresno State Bulldogs. I think that's just going to be a very tough loss there for the Bulldogs. But you get a team in Kent State that lost pretty much everybody to the transfer portal. That is a Kent State team that might have a hard time fielding a football program, and of course that is an exaggeration, but they did lose everybody from that team last year. I think it'll be an easy win for Fresno State, as I do think Nevada will be an easy win as well. That was a team that was towards the bottom of everyone in the FBS ranks last season, and while I do think they see improvement in 2023, it will not be enough to compete with the Fresno State Bulldogs. On the road at Wyoming is another very interesting game that Fresno State has definitely got to watch out for. Wyoming's been a solid team in the Mountain West Conference, and they'll be able to pull off some upsets, as Wyoming is usually able to do. You got some really good players offensively, defensively, even though you do have to replace some guys, some good pieces come back as well. But I think Fresno State is going to start to find their groove offensively here. I think a lot of those guys that they have to replace defensively are stepping up, are making the plays that they need to make, and Fresno State goes on the road and gets what I think to be a pretty close win. They're on the road against the Wyoming Cowboys. You got to go on the road, play a Friday game against Utah State. I don't think this one will be easy for you, but I don't see Fresno State dropping this game. Blake Anderson's group, ever since winning the Mountain West Conference, they're in 2021. This is a team that's going to lose even more than they lost last season. Now, the bones are not dry to this program. You have some very, very solid pieces there, but I do not think you will be up to the level of the Fresno State Bulldogs there in 2023. And then you get your bye week before what I think is going to be a very tough game when you got to go on the road and play UNLV. UNLV started out 4-1 last year. Yeah, it did not end so well for this program last season. However, when I look at UNLV this year, you got a lot of very solid returning pieces offensively, defensively, and while there is some improvement being needed to make here and there, I think UNLV is still going to be a very competitive, very solid team in the Mountain West Conference this year. However, I do not believe that they will be up to the standard of the Fresno State Bulldogs. I think UNLV is going to struggle to beat any one of these big-time opponents like Boise State, which they don't play, but like Fresno State, maybe even Air Force. I think they're going to struggle to beat teams like that, so they will drop this game to the Fresno State Bulldogs. And then Fresno State, undefeated in conference play. I believe Boise State will be as well. A rematch of a regular season game last year, which Boise State won, but Fresno State won when it mattered more. They won the Mountain West Championship game against this Boise State team last season. And I do believe that the Boise State Broncos will be getting the better of them here in 2023, at least in the regular season. Look, when I look at this Boise State team, unlike Fresno State, there's a lot of returning talent offensively. And yeah, you do have to replace some pieces on defense, but there's a lot of great defensive pieces still on this team. I just think with all Fresno State lost on offense, Boise State's offense will be a little bit too much, and you will be able to win that game, will the Boise State Broncos. Then you got to go on the road to play San Jose State. Hey, if you want a team to break out in the Mountain West Conference, this may very well be your team to break out. It's a team that has Siobhan Cordero returning at quarterback. Granted, a lot of pieces at wide receiver, some defensive pieces gone as well, but it's a team that I think has a lot of very solid pieces. I just think they're going to come up just short against the Fresno State Bulldogs. I think this defensive Fresno State will be able to step up, make some plays, and they'll be able to win that game. At home against New Mexico will be an easy win for this program. Not a very good team out of the Mountain West Conference, but on the road against San Diego State. Yes, I did highlight that game already. It is a red game. And I just feel, again, with everything that Fresno State lost on offense, San Diego State did lose a lot on defense, yes, and maybe we see that defense start to regress here in 2023, but with the style of football that team plays, with the way that defense, no matter who seems to be on it, performs and plays, I just think that this defense is going to be a little bit too much for Mikey Keene and for whatever this Fresno State offense is going to be able to do here in 2023. So I think San Diego State, and again, we even saw that offense perk up last season, so I think the offense makes some plays and the defense steps up as usual, and they will beat Fresno State. Could be a game that decides who goes to the Mountain West title, but I still do believe that Fresno State has a really solid season, even with all they lost on offense. Yeah, it could be a struggle, but I think Fresno State has a really good chance to still go back to a Mountain West title game. That'll do it for my thoughts on the Bulldogs. Let me know yours in the comment section below. And as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See you guys in the next video.